from 2009, it is under his leadership that the Free State became the #1 province, not once, not twice, but 3 times in the past 5 years. Achieving this has been incredible. I don't think there's any other MEC in the history of this country who has seen such success. We really are grateful to have worked with you, Tate. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the MEC of Education for the Free State, Dr. Makgoe.
Where you come from does not determine where you are going. It's very, very important. Ereke sebedise monyetla hape lo leboha family ya Eric Molobi kaofela ha lona ke a leboha ba teng ha lona. He was our leader in the revolution, and I think that we are one of the provinces. If you go to Kwakwa, there is a science lab that has been named after him. So when you want to go and see that science lab, she was there. You were there, okay? When we named the science lab after him. So you want to see Eric Molobi in action, go to Kwakwa, and you'll find him in action there. We also want to congratulate all of you who have received, who are members of the scholarship program of Eric Molobi. And that Pastor Sims have said, we're expecting a lot from you. And therefore, also recognizing the alumni that is there. I will talk to you just in a moment. Kagiso Trust Executive, the trustees, I don't want to isolate others, but Khotso is my friend. Khotso I must recognize separately. And everybody else who's here, Cyril Ramaphosa Foundation, and then KST, I saw Kaya here. This topic has been very interesting, and I was listening to people speaking here, that yes, it can be done. And actually it made me cast my mind back to the times when I became the MEC Education in the province of the Free State. When I arrived there in 2009, maybe I must also make a disclaimer. I've never been a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm not an educator, whether you call a teacher an educator. I'm not that. I pride myself, not with my masters and so on and so on. I pride myself with my national diploma in chemical engineering. That's what I am. And wherever I am, that's what I want to be seen from that perspective. So in 2009, when I became the MEC, I was resisting to go there. And I thought that these guys were setting me up because I only know engineering and commerce, right? And I thought Ace Magashule was setting me up. I said, Ace Magashule, why do you want me to go to do that, to education? And he said something to me. He said, no, but you know mathematics and science. And your manifesto in 2009 was saying we must go and improve mathematics and science. So I knew exactly, oh, okay. So they want me to go and address mathematics and science. And in fact, that was the correct decision, actually, for them to have taken me there. Because I started in 2009 as Mr. Makgoe. I'm finishing in 2019 as Dr. Makgoe. When I arrived in the Department of Education, the Free State was performing at 69%. In fact, when the results were announced in 2010 January, we were at 69%. And I went to the officials in the Department of Education, and I said to them, why are we saying to people we want to achieve 75%? Because they had set a 75% target. Why are we saying to people we want to achieve 75%, and we actually come up with 69.4%? And officials, these are the guys who have been there for years, who understand education, who have been teachers, now they're chief directors, DDGs, and so on. And they were saying to me, MEC, you know what? You don't understand education, right? Here in the Department of Education, when we set a target, we just set it to motivate people. But you must remember that there's no way we can beat Gauteng. There's no way we can beat Western Cape. Western Cape is given they're going to be number one. And I said to them at that time, and this is what the lessons that I want the young people to take. I said to them, I will never go to the people and announce a target that I'm not working towards. You see, seated here is the same people who are going to make sure that we achieve this 75%. And indeed, they went out, thought about it, and said, no, man, you know what? I get people always say that. And I like what you were saying. People always say that, it's like a paraffin steam. He'll get used to education. And I said, no, I won't get used to education. You will get used to me. Education will get used to me. And ladies and gentlemen, in 2011, I think 2 years later, we were able to achieve the 75. And in fact, we got 75.7%. And from then, I said to them in a meeting when we were celebrating, they were all very happy. And I said, now I'm here, I'm going to set up my new target. Now I helped you to achieve your old target, I'm going to set up my new target. And everybody's eyes went round. And I said, from now onwards, my target is 80%. And ladies and gentlemen, you must know that at that time, we still did not have new teachers. We did not have anything new. We used the same resources, but a different mindset. From the year 2012, there is never a year where we achieved less than 80%. We have been number one 3 times. And next year, we'll be number one for the 4th time. But what is good about setting targets and chasing them is that you attract good friends. Because the moment I was there, I then heard about this program of KST, Kagiso Trust, Beres No Dear Schools Development Program in Kwakwa. And I went there and I met them. And at that time, they were doing only 10 schools, right? And then the budget was about 20 million rands. And I said to them, I said to Khoso and the team, this is going to change. There's no way we can make huge change in the education of this province with 20 schools. We then decided there, even before I looked at the budget, whether we had the money or not. We increased those schools from 10 schools to 166 schools in that area. And I think it's very, very important for young people to understand, especially those who have graduated. And when I'm, Ntembu, ne? Abraham, yeah. Abraham, ne? Abraham, it must be another name. You know, it's very, very important. I've heard young people with good qualifications complaining that they can't start businesses because they don't have money. You must remember that you have to set a vision first and sell your vision. And in the process of selling your vision, you will be able to attract friends with people who are supposed, who will actually give you the support that you need to be able to achieve what you need to be able to achieve. So we were able to raise from 10 schools, from 20 million rands, we were spending an average of 174 million rands jointly. And it was 1 rand to 1 rand, what we were doing with Kagiso Trust. We put a rand and they put a rand. And I knew that our province sometimes, people say it's not rural. Sometimes we are rural, we are conveniently rural. It depends. Sometimes people say we are rural. Sometimes they say, no, you are not rural, you know. So I knew that for us to get money from people like KT and KST later was to be able to say, if you put a rand, we will also put a rand. I also still want to say now to those who are here, others who are not supporting my program, if you put a rand, I'll put a rand. I don't know the budget yet, but I'm telling you, it will come out. Ladies and gentlemen, the work that we did with Kagiso Trust, from 2008 to now, took that district from 54% pass rate to the district today that is at 90%, and the second best district in the whole of South Africa. And you must know, I'm raising this issue of resources because I know that from time to time it gets to be a constraint. Our budget this year is 12 billion rands. But in that 12 billion rands, about 92% of that money just goes for salaries. So we don't have money, right, as a province. And therefore, every time when we outperform provinces like Gauteng, Western Cape, with budgets 3-4 times bigger than our budget, I congratulate ourselves and the partners that we work with. We have done great work. These kids who are actually standing up here and appearing on TV, it is because of your support that they are here where they are. And they did not allow their backgrounds, they did not allow their poverty to determine their future. You did not allow their lack of support at home, because sometimes that's where the problem is. In townships, when you take a child to school, they just drop you at the school. Nobody supports you with homework. Nobody actually helps you to read over the weekend and so on. But despite that, the determination, the fire inside you, if it pushes you, you will be able to achieve. Even at university. My son is at the University of Cape Town. And then he interacts with students from Kwakwa. And he always asks me a question. Papa, what have you done to these guys from Kwakwa? They are outperforming us, despite the fact that we come from ex-Molobi schools. So I'm saying to all of us today as South Africans, we must never again undermine ourselves. It doesn't matter. You know, when I talk to young kids, I say to them, it doesn't matter that you come from Mukukune or a shack. If they actually say to you, come from a shack, you must always tell them that that shack is not mine. That shack belongs to my parents. Wait until you see my own house, and then we can talk. And this is the spirit that we want to inculcate, not only amongst our learners, but also among South Africans, especially professional South Africans. And I'm happy with your story that you did not give up. There was a time when you could not get this P1, P2 thing. But you did not give up. You went to work. People humiliated you. I'm sure there were others who were saying, as we were going to work, who were saying, look at him. He thought he's clever. He wanted to go to university. He's back. He's qualified. What has changed? He's still where he was before he went to university. But your determination, and I always say, arts and culture. It's again to your drawing. Eh? Graphic design. You see this thing, a graphic design. One thing good about mathematics, it teaches you perseverance. Yeah? You know a math sum, you work on it today, you get it wrong. You go sleep, you wake up, tackle the same problem again. If it still is wrong, you get your friends to support you. But at one point, you want to solve that problem. So, what math teaches you? The engineers are innovators. You know, we are the ones who must bring new things. In fact, if you're an engineer, and then you are sitting there with your good qualifications, and you bring nothing new, you can't blame engineering. You must blame yourself. Because it's the same thing like if you have a toolbox. You can go buy the beautiful toolbox, the most expensive toolbox. If you take this toolbox, put it with you, and never use it, you can't blame the toolbox that this toolbox is not working, because you are the person behind the toolbox. And therefore, you must also understand Your degree is also a toolbox. If you don't use that toolbox, you can't blame the toolbox. We must blame yourself. So today we must know that we must continue to make that difference. I've learned a lot from Kagiso Trust. You know, the program that we did with Kagiso Trust, which I think would also add value in the UCAN program, is that they made schools to identify the reason to change. They interacted in the retreats program with the schools. And the schools themselves in that program were the ones who were saying, but so-and-so, you are the one dropping the ball. We are still using that language, Khozo. The language of dropping the ball. Because it comes from Khozo, right? And he was asking them, who in this school is dropping the ball? So we need to be able to know that we need to understand and identify the reason to change. If you are having a reason to change, then change becomes easier. And you then, after identifying that there's the reason to change, you need to be able to say, what is it that we need to do? Not somebody else. What is it that I need to do to ensure that we effect this change? So if you were, knowing that you are not an early reader, if you don't read in the morning, then you must be able to say, I can't read in the morning, I can read in the evening. Therefore, you are doing something about the problem. You can't blame the lecturer. You can't blame the teacher. You have to understand, South Africans, that apartheid has been destroyed many years ago, right? 25 years ago. And, we are not convincing anybody anymore by blaming apartheid. We are now in charge, and we must make a difference. We must take ourselves serious. When we go there to teach, if we are going to teach, you must teach those children like they've never been taught before. If they're given an opportunity to be an engineer, and they say you must work 6 hours, make sure that you double those hours, and make sure that now you become indispensable. Only you can make yourself indispensable in an organization. And you have to do that. It's a conscious decision. Now I do that. Politics is easy. In politics, for a new premier, when they come in, they can change executive council. I work such that it becomes very difficult. I make it difficult. There was a time, just how you can just caucus about what is happening in the province. There was a time in the province when I thought that maybe I had actually touched the wrong buttons and they wanted to fire me. But they couldn't, because I was doing so well. So they went to Satu and said, Satuma, please march against him. Do something, And then they marched. And then I went to Satu and I spoke to them. And we sat in a meeting. What exactly is the problem? When we were sitting in a meeting to try and identify what exactly the problem is, nobody could be able to do so. And they all agreed that, no, we have lost this round. So people have been trying. People are going to try to dethrone you. People are going to try to remove you. But you must make yourself indispensable. I told my son that he's told me that the class is, 150 in a physics class. And I said, you know what, when you are in that class, make sure the lecturer notices you. Just do something. Just do something. Oh, whoa. Yeah? So that's what you must do. You can't sit there in the group of, the class of 200 people, and then when everybody goes down, you also go down. No, maybe move a little bit, do something, ask a question, do something. The lecturer must notice you. What the Kagiso Trust did in the schools was to force the schools or help the schools to set up mission statements. I used to be excited also when I go to Kwakwa schools, and they will tell me that we are from a retreat, and this is our mission statements. This is what, as a school, we have agreed that we need now to achieve, and this is how we are going to change our own conditions. And today, I was very excited when I listened to radio, and I heard that Gauteng has been copying. They actually said very clearly on radio that they want to be number one. And then somebody said to them, no, what about the Free State? He said, no. We have been to the Free State. We have copied everything that they've been doing. So we are ready to beat them. But one of the most important things they mentioned was that we now know that what makes Free State tick. One of the things that they do is to set up targets for their schools. And you remember, Khoso, it looks so simple, but we used to sit with those schools to set up a target. And when a target has been made and achieved, then I learned something from Kagiso Trust. Give them incentives. Give them incentives. And I can tell you, just that I don't have enough budget, but we are rolling it out in other parts of the province. And incentives included infrastructure, for an example, science labs, life sciences labs, sometimes halls. And I know that there's also something called risk. Yeah? Not a stupid risk. You don't just throw yourself and say it's a risk. Calculated risk. You know, I realized that the Kagiso Trust can build halls within a very short space of time. Yeah? You remember? Cheaper at a short space of time. And when I build a hall through public works, just to give you an example, it will take me 14 million rands, sometimes within a year or two, just to build a hall. And then we built, Kagiso Trust with us built a hall, or they built a hall for us for 6 million rands, and it took about 6 months, right, in Kwakwa. Yeah? And then I realized that, you know what, here I must take a risk. Yeah? Because as politicians, I'm telling you, you must take a risk, otherwise people will never call you a doctor. Because if you don't take a risk, how can you be called a doctor? You know, we identify this to say, look, we're going to save money for government. Public works takes 2 years to build a hall at double the price. 4 or 5 contractors in the process. This one taken out, and this one, and so on and so on. And Kagiso Trust is able to build a hall for me in 6 months, right? I then said, they are going to fire you when I leave. I then said to Mr. Putis, you know what? This thing is not in an agreement. I'm saying these things what the board must know, must not blame you. It's me who said do these things. But we can argue. We can argue that there's value. You can see the value, right? And I said, let's go on. And Kagiso Trust build the halls, build the halls, build the halls. Later, Auditor General complained. It catches up with you, the accounting and the commerce thing. Catches up with me. But my argument consistently, every time I met them, didn't you go to see the value? They say, yes, MEC. We have seen. The halls are beautiful. We have built them cheaper. So, but we did not, and also quick, but you did not follow procedure. And I said, okay, so what was I supposed to do? When a school gives me 100%, and I promise to build them a hall in that year, and if I go through public works, they're going to take 2 years. Before they finish this hall, this school will be back to 50%. So I must build a hall in time so that the school must not lose courage. When they see people working there, they will go out and say, we now are going to ensure that we remain at 100%. And I'm happy that argument won because there was credibility, there was genuineness, and there was delivery. So thank you very much. I know I put you in problems. I know with the chairperson also there was a time was saying, we can't cross the Auditor General. So now I'm a politician. Sometimes I have to cross him so that I can deliver what needs to be delivered. But some of the things that we can't do, that Kagiso Trust was doing, was issues of incentives, right? You know, I will never forget this one, where when a school has given us, started at 80%, or was it 100% when they were going to Durban? Was 100%, And the teachers loved it. You know, from Kwakwa to Durban, it's only about 300 kilometers. It's not that far. But I'm telling you, it was the best thing ever. I remember that one of the schools, the name will come back now, but in this school, they then decided, because the incentive was saying, if you go to Durban, you must take your spouses, right? And the teachers sat together and say, no, but we can't take our spouses and leave the garden ladies and cleaning ladies away, behind, you know? And they decided that let's leave the spouses, let's take everybody in the school, anybody, whether they are washing children's dishes or whatever, all of them went to Durban. And you know the magic about that was that now when this lady was, or this old man was mending the garden, when he sees children playing outside, he would go to the principal and say, hey, principal, you know what, these children have been playing for so long outside, and we want to go to Durban, you see. So it worked. So what am I saying? Involve others, involve other people you never thought would actually add value. Because human beings will add value if you give them space to do so. And I must also thank Kagiso Trust, KST for now, because now we have upgraded it. The schools that got 100% pass rate, and then who gave us, the first school last year was, I think, Molobi, who gave us 85% bachelors. Rural school, township school. About 90-something percent. We, in the province, we are talking 100%. 100% is given. What we are working towards now is the bachelors. Right? Now, a school that got Molobi last year got 100% pass rate and 85 bachelors. So it says that 8 of the 10 learners in that school qualified at the university. And this is performance. Right? And we then took this school with the help of KT and KST. And they went to Kenya last year. We took them to Kenya. We took everybody in the school, everybody. There were teachers who were saying, you know what? Thank you, MEC. We are flying for the first time. We are in the aeroplane for the first time. So sometimes you people in Gauteng, because we are flying every day, it's now normal for you to fly. No? You think that everybody has flown before. And if you can just help us with that air ticket, we can fly you teachers and they can actually give you that feedback. This year, because now schools are competing, last year, 2017, ne? Ranzani gave us 100% pass rate, 91% bachelors. We went to one university in China, Beijing Institute of Technology. And then when we were there, we were just talking to the lecturers and the learners. And they were saying, this lecturer was saying to us, these students from South Africa are good, but there are others who are very, very good. And I say, they say there's a school called Babisa Ranzane, or something. And I was saying to myself, yes, Kagiso Trust, thank you very much. Ranzani, a rural school, a township school, black teachers, children having breakfast for the first time at the school at 10 o'clock, children who actually sleep at the school, who don't have, proper washing facilities, no sewer. All those kids now are now respected in international universities. That's what it can be. That's what it can be if we give our people hope, if we give our people support, if we never give up on our people. I think there are many people in this country of ours that have given up on South Africa. And I always say, I hear them by their comments every time on SAFM. And I always say to them, to me, and I've phoned them before, to say those who are discouraged, those who have lost hope with South Africa, please leave us. Please leave us. We want more voices of people who are positive about this country. Because wherever you go, when you go to England, there are people in England who want to come and work here. Rona people here, no, we are tired. Even those who were oppressed before, now they have joined the bandwagon. So if we really want to challenge and change the legacy of apartheid, we need to work together as South Africans. We need to share the same vision. We need to know that these kids must get that P1 and P2. These kids must be given an opportunity. They must be given an opportunity to fail. They must make mistakes. Because there's nobody who has not made a mistake in life. You can't succeed without making one or two mistakes. You know, one person was saying to me, if Murray and Roberts, they were the ones who were building that road somewhere in your M1, in the M1, when the road collapsed, and everybody understood it's an engineering mistake, it has gone wrong. But if it was in Velas, it will still be news today that it was black engineers. Where do they come from? And so on and so on. So it's just something in our minds that we need to destroy. Because I'm sure if we do that, we'll be closing the chapter, the last chapter that Eric Molobi was fighting for. So young people, you must know, it doesn't matter whoever says what, you are the future of our country. Today, you depend on us, but tomorrow, we will be depending on you. If we want innovation in this country, it's going to come from you. If we want entrepreneurship in this country, it's going to come from you. If we want people to create jobs in South Africa, it's going to come from you. We need to remove the mentality, and I love you, Chief. I love you. I love you. We need to remove the mentality of actually working for somebody. Yes, you must be like Indians. You know, Indians, they go and work, quickly know what happens there, and very soon they open up their own thing. You must learn from others. So we must learn from others. When you look into other countries, I've been to Turkey, many countries, in fact, Asian countries in general, there's a lot of many small businesses. Small businesses can create a lot of jobs. Small businesses can increase our tax base. So you young people, we fought for freedom. We struggled. We were taken to jail. Some of us were killed to fight for this political freedom. Your duty, you must know as young people, your duty is to transform this country, not in terms of race, not just taking one person and putting the other and be ineffective. You are here today to ensure that this country prosper. You are here not to be diverted by big cars and so on and so on. Don't worry. When somebody drives a big car, it's their car. Don't worry about that car. Wait until you buy your own. And I'm telling you, you must be better than us. All of us seated here want you to be better than us. I told my children, if I have a master's degree, I expect you to have a PhD. I expect you to innovate. I expect you, if I run a small little business, I expect you to open up a big chain of businesses in the province, in South Africa. South Africa is a very powerful country, lot of resources, but without education, we will not be able to benefit from our mineral endowment. Japan, many small countries, Singapore, they are so rich today, but they didn't have not 1/3 of the mineral deposits that we have. So mineral deposit means nothing, South Africans. We need education. We need to skill ourselves. We need to be courageous. We need to believe in the future. We need to believe in the vision of Nelson Mandela and Cyril Ramaphosa and make sure that when President Ramaphosa says, this must be done, we are not going to sit there and wait and say, when is it going to be done? If he says, mining charter, these are the agreements, you, the young people, must be able to take the mining charter, confront the mining companies and say, it's now law. You must help us to implement the mining charter. Only then can we claim our dignity and our future and our seriousness as South Africans. This country belongs to us. 85% of this country is black. And if black people don't move, this country will never move. Thank you.